Hi, I'd like to show you this bowl. I got the camera on macro right now so you can see it. You notice there's a little bead around the bottom right here? The bead travels all the way around. The bottom is slightly beveled. See the bevel? You notice around this side, it's about 2.5 inches deep. And the sidewall right here is about 3/8 of an inch deep. The bowl's been scooped out. I made this bowl out of pine about 15 years ago, and I really enjoyed making it. I made a number of other pieces during that period in time. What I'm going to do this time is I'm going to make one like it, but similar but different. I'm going to make the sidewall thinner. I'm going to make it out of hardwood. This new bowl is going to be maple, and it's going to be a little bit larger diameter, a little bit deeper this way with a lid. And I also envision it being a red color. I want to put a red translucent stain on it that you can see the depth of the wood through the stain. Also on the lid I envision yellow flowers. And I don't want the flowers to be translucent. I want them to be solid in color. And then I want it to be nice and shiny inside and out. I want to do it all in the lathe and in stages. I want to film the stages. I want you to be able to watch and see the production and enjoy the production. And I'm going to do it also, I'm going to fit segments of time lapse in, so it makes the production even more enjoyable. And perhaps during the time lapse, perhaps we can put in a little bit of nice music. So I hope you enjoy this production. So far we've cut 3 pieces of wood out here on the bandsaw in the rough squares out of firewood. And we made sure that they were maple. Nice pieces of maple, and they had not too many problems with the heart or anything. Fairly decent. We didn't take heartwood. We took wood just off the center of the heart, and then we took the 3 pieces over here and we ran them through this planer. Made a big pile of planing dust here that we're going to sweep up in a minute. And we come over this way. You see the 3 pieces that we cut out. Here they are. Now, I'm going to do a close-up in macro so we can get a look at the grain in the pieces. I'm going to take them apart here. Now I got them lined up how I'm going to glue them already. 3 pieces that ran through the planer. Back up a little bit so you can see them. And when I put them together, you see, you hardly see the joint. When I put the pressure on there, you won't see the joint anymore. They're roughly 1.5 inches thick, and they're 11 inches long, and they make up about 10 or 11 inches. So after I glue them together tonight, what I'll do is I'll draw a circle on them with a compass tomorrow, and then I'll cut them out on the bandsaw, cut the circle out, getting it ready for the lathe. So that's the next step in the process. Now the next step is, you see all 3 pieces glued up tonight. And that's as much as I'm going to do tonight. I'm going to let these set overnight and let the glue joint get good and tight. Now what we have is the block all glued together, and we have drawn a circle on this block using a caliper. We took the center, we found the center, and we've drawn a circle around using the caliper on the block, and we've marked the center, the exact center of the circle. Now what we've done is we've taken the flat plate off of our lathe, and we've marked a circle with the caliper again over here. Let me get over here where you can see. We've marked a circle here again on a piece of plywood. Found the center, marked the circle with our compass, the same size as our flat plate here. off of our lathe, so the flat plate fits on the circle. Now what we'll do is we'll cut this out on the bandsaw or on a jigsaw or the other type of saw. I can't think of the name of it right now. But anyway, we'll cut this circle out, and then what we're going to do is we're going to glue it on this block. After we cut this block out, the circle on the block, we're going to glue this plywood circle here on the center here. We're going to line this center up, and then in between we put glue on this side of the paper against the wood, and then we put glue on the other side of the paper, and we put the piece of plywood on, sandwiched between the layer of paper with the glue, and we glue it there nice and tight. This face block goes onto the piece of plywood with the glue on the paper on the piece of plywood toward the block of wood. And why we do that is because later, after we're done turning, we can just take a chisel and give it a tap, and that paper will ply separate. And then we just sand the paper off, and we don't have to put screws into the block that way. So it's sort of a technique that we're going to use here to keep from making screw holes into the bottom of our wooden box that we're turning. So that's where we're at so far, and we're going to get moving on with it into the next step. Okay, what I want you to see here, I have it mounted on the lathe now, and what I want you to see is how I have it set up. This back of this plate that attaches with the paper, I made it a little bit bigger, and the reason why is because when you're turning a large object like this, you need a little bit bigger. This plate right here, put my finger on it, this plate right here made a little bit larger diameter, this plywood plate, so it has a little bit more gluing surface against the paper. I can still separate it with the chisel because see, it still has paper between it and the glue and the hardwood I'm turning. So I attached the face plate, attached it to the lathe. The whole thing needs to be balanced yet. It's very heavy because it's all hardwood. And so what I'm going to do is this headstock of the lathe, I'm bringing it right up until it touches and applies a little bit of pressure on the wood, so that it's, if you can see in here, I'll put it on macro. There, if you can see right in there, you can see that that is actually touching the wood right in here, and it's helping to hold it in position while I first turn it. And that's very important. The reason why that's important is because what I'm going to do first is I'm going to turn in here, and I'm going to scallop this bowl out, and I'm going to lighten it. Lighten this, really lighten it up, and take a lot of the weight off. And then I can back this off and move this out of the way so that I can scallop the rest out after it's been lightened. But not only will it lighten it up, what it's going to do is it's going to balance it as well on the lathe. Because as I start to turn it, this thing, when I first start turning, it's going to be very heavy and very out of balance. And I need to be very careful with it. But as I turn it, it'll be lightening up, but not only lightening up, becoming more in balance. So now the next step is I'm going to start turning it, and that's going to be in time lapse.
I saw your face painted on the wall, shapeless in space, colorless and small. I remember you, faded and subdued. I spent the day haunted by your sight, hiding away remember you fading out of view. You're a memory now. You're all faded and brown. You're just namelessly hung on the tip of my tongue in a silent remark. You're a memory now. You're just dust on the ground, just a whisper of steam on the crest of a dream.